Hi everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing well and thank you so much for all of your kind words, all of your love, your support. It really does mean the most to me and Connor. And we're just so excited, and I'm so excited to be sharing this journey with you now. I hope this setup's okay. I'm not gonna lie, if Connor's here, normally I get him to help set up because the lights are a nightmare, the camera and the microphone are a little bit, I've got a new camera and the microphone doesn't slot in and all of that good stuff. So what I thought, instead of sitting at the end of the bed like I normally do, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to sit in front of the patio windows and hope for the best. So if the light keeps going in and out, it's because it's raining outside and we're just dealing with natural light. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, it would mean the absolute world if you could. I absolutely love YouTube. I love making videos for you guys, and the more of you that are here, the more we can build this community. And yeah, as always, I'm going to try and aim to put up one video per week, but don't hold us to that. But now we're back. Hopefully I can stick to that. It's been a bit of a ride, I'm not going to lie. Since August last year, we've been on a total roller coaster, but now hopefully we're on a nice, now we're on a nice, steady trajectory, and I'm going to have loads to share with you. So, as you know, I asked on Instagram if any of you guys had any questions, and lots of you had lots of questions. So I thought it would be a really good idea for me to come on here and answer some of the questions, because they do require a little bit more of a longer answer. And as you know, I can talk for England, and that 1 minute time limit on Instagram, it just does not do me any justice. So we're just going to get straight into it. I'm going to answer as many questions as I can. So I'm just going to quickly start with a question that I kept getting in the different variations, and it was, how many embryos did you have transferred, and also are you pregnant with like a single pregnancy or twins? So if you've watched my first trimester vlog, then you will know we got 2 embryos transferred. We had one firm, we had one good, and we thought, you know what, we don't want to lose an embryo, because last time we did and we weren't aware that we could have had 2 transferred. Apparently it's not super common when you have age on your side, the consultant said, so you're not moving towards 40, and also if you haven't had X amount of failed transfers. But I just couldn't see one of our embryos be disregarded again like it was in the first round, because I didn't have any idea that was going to happen in the first round. And then when they were like, yeah, they're not suitable on day 6 after we've had a transfer, they got rid of them. And so it was likely that they were going to do the same with this one. So I was like, no, I'd rather have them both put in. And we knew it was a little bit of a gamble, because a multiple pregnancy is a lot more complicated and can come with lots of risks, but we were willing to take that risk. So when we went in for our was it a 6-week scan or 7-week scan? I think it was a 6-week scan. There was 2 sacs there, but there was only 1 baby in 1 sac. And since then, the other sac has just kind of disappeared, been pushed to the side, been reabsorbed by the body. And yeah, we'll have 1 viable, gorgeous pregnancy and a gorgeous baby in there. And it still feels really surreal. But yeah, that is the answer to that question. Somebody has asked, will you be consultant led? Yeah, I had a consultant's appointment around week 9 maybe. That is because I have an endocrinologist, so that is because I have thyroid, I guess because I have endometriosis. So I see the endocrinologist and the obgyn, so the obstetrician, in the same appointment. Have all my kind of bloods, urine, all of that looked at. So I've seen those twice. I've seen them around week 8, 9, and then I've seen them at week 12 and had my 12-week scan, and they're really good and they're really looking after me, because I have got a few different things going on, like the thyroid, Hashimoto's, endometriosis. I've got a rare blood trait. So yeah, have to be closely monitored, but so far so good, and they're really happy with everything. And can I just say again, thank you so much for how many of you were just like, I don't have a question, but I just want to say, like, I'm so happy for you. So quite a few people have said, how many rounds of IVF did you have? I'm going to assume if you're asking that question, you're new here, because I have shared absolutely everything. I have had 2 rounds of IVF and my second one was successful. Lots and lots of questions of did you do anything different this round, and I'm going to do a full separate video next week on that, because there is probably lots of little things that I did differently. Who knows if they're significant enough to be implemented, but I think when you're going through this journey and things are really, really fragile and really, really, you know, they're really tough, and you will do anything to make sure that that IVF round works, and that the embryos are amazing, and that the pregnancy is viable. So I know that some of these small things really might help somebody, and so I thought I would do a separate video on that next week, so stay tuned for that. Lots of you are asking, will we find out the gender? And the answer is yes, we are going to find out the gender, and we're going to find out the gender this month, towards the end of the month. We aren't going to have a big gender reveal, but we are going to do it on Connor's birthday, just with a close family. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have our scan in the morning, and then we're going to find out in the afternoon, and we can't wait. We could have found out before now, but we thought we would wait until Connor's birthday and make it extra special. A few of you guys have also asked, again, what do you think was different this time, and did they change the medication? I will answer this question in this video. The medication wasn't changed whatsoever. I was really worried. I was thinking, my God, like the last round didn't work, essentially, but they were happy with the way my body responded. They were happy with the way the medication worked, and the, you know, I mean, I guess a success rate of how many follicles and eggs I got. So they kept the medication exactly the same, and I have to be honest, I did question it. Of course, now I'm so pleased that they did, and I'm so pleased that I just trusted them. But as you know, if you've been on this journey with me, I did have my doubts, I had my reservations. I didn't know how well informed some of the consultants at my clinic were about Hashimoto's, and so I reached out to a private consultant in London and had a consultation with them. And I've had another question which I'll get on to now because it's relevant, and that is, did I end up taking a low dose steroid from the consultant in London who specialises in Hashimoto's and fertility? And I actually didn't. We had the conversation, we had the consultation. He offered us 3 options to just stick with this round, because we were literally midway through, literally just about to start our stims, but we had been on 3 weeks of downreg drugs. So we could just continue as normal, take a low dose steroid, or we could do all of the testing, that, you know, all the bells and whistles, all the NK cell testing, everything in London, and both have to go down like literally the next day. And in the end, with lots of deliberation, because you know I'm a deliberator, I thought, you know what, let's stick to this round. Then we know we've had 2 rounds exactly the same, and then if we need to explore that option, we'll do it. But if not, and we didn't have to, thank God, I'm so grateful, then we won't. So yeah, so I really like this question, and it's just, what are you most looking forward to as a mummy? And I just feel like I was born to be a parent. I just feel like it's my calling. I feel like it's my purpose. You know, I haven't had a traditional upbringing, but then again, I don't think many people have. I think you are extremely lucky to have being brought up in perfect circumstances. And so, you know, if you've watched some of my older videos and stuff, you'll know what I'm referring to. You know, there's a lot that I guess we don't talk about here, and you know, I've been having therapy for a few years now, and I feel like I'm in a great place. And the biggest thing that I've always wanted is to have somebody in my family who looks like me. So I'm really hoping my baby looks like me and not Connor. That's so selfish. But I look more like my dad's side. He's Iranian, and I don't have anything to do with them. They've never wanted me in their life. And so I have siblings that look just like me. But on my mum's side, who's white British, I don't really look like anybody. And so the biggest thing for me is I just can't wait to have a gorgeous little family member who looks like me, and somebody who is just going to be a best friend who will love me unconditionally and who I can love unconditionally, and to just have that family unit with Connor. And this feels like the next step. It feels really natural. I've wanted a baby since I was like 17, but of course I wanted to do other things before going down that road. And more importantly, for me personally, I wanted to find somebody who I felt was the right person. And I'm so lucky that I did find Connor, because if not, I would have done it on my own. I did have a question from somebody asking what my thoughts were on solo parenting and maybe going down the IVF route alone. And before I met Connor, I was 30 when I met Connor, and before I met Connor I was starting to think about maybe what my path might look like, and you know, I would have pursued that on my own if I hadn't have met Connor, I think. But you know, yeah, it's just when you've got that urge to be a parent, and you'll know if you are also like me and have that urge to be a parent, just the whole idea of being a family unit and having a baby and watching that baby grow up, and that baby just relying on you so much and being like a whole human and having an impact on the world. It's just, I just can't wait. Again, some questions about supplements. I'm going to talk all about my supplements in my next video. Somebody's asked, how's my anxiety? My anxiety is pretty good at the moment. It was incredibly high at the beginning. I didn't know whether it was coming or going. I was like, oh my god, freaking out. Knew that I wanted this, but then also was just like, whoa, didn't know what to expect, and my head and my heart were just all over the place, and then my body wasn't my head wasn't registering what my body was registering. I don't know if anybody else has had that, where it just takes a little bit of time to adjust to the reality of what's happening. But yeah, my anxiety was pretty high, and then I have like moments of it feeling like okay, and you know, like we're good, we're feeling good, we've got lots of reassurance, and then the anxiety comes in again because I have had spotting twice. Just this weekend gone I did have a bit of spotting, so yeah, my anxiety was you know, kind of elevated. But we had a scan and everything is good, and yeah, I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling really good. I will show you the little video scan at the end of this video. Somebody said, what size was your endometrioma? I'm paranoid about mine when I get to start IVF. So I didn't, of course I had surgery in July 2022, and then, you know, that was it. And got scanned in January 2023. Everything was good. Didn't start my IVF until August 2023, and that's when they saw the endometrioma. So I was unaware of it until I was like just about to start stimulating drugs. So I freaked out and I was really upset. I was really upset because I was just learning that it was there. I was like, the endo's coming back, and I was freaking out. It hasn't caused any problems. I don't really know how big yours is. I think mine was around about 25 millimeters. I think it could be a bit bigger now because obviously I've had 2 rounds of IVF, and the estrogen and all of that kind of stuff, and all of the hormones can like exacerbate things. But it, you know, it's been fine, and the consultant was always like, do you know what, we're happy with that, we can still access your ovaries, it's not inhibiting the follicles in any way. I think I did have more follicles on one ovary the first round than they swapped over on the second round, so, and I had less follicles on my second round, and it didn't implicate things at all. So I think try not to worry and just see what the consultant says when you go in for your scans, and then go from there. But I think mine went up to around like 30 millimeters or 40. I can't really remember, but yeah, there's always ways and means around it, so try not to worry. I know it's easy for me to say, but I have been there, and I was crying and I was so upset, but the consultant will just, you know, will help kind of make sense of what needs to be done, and hopefully it doesn't implicate anything. Somebody's put, how far along are you, and is the wedding on hold now? Yeah. Obviously we got engaged last year, and I was super chuffed, and we did start thinking about it vaguely, but we were going back into an IVF cycle. Like, it wasn't our top priority, and now it's absolutely not. You know, me and Connor have got a massive project that we're working on that's taken up all our time. That's hopefully going to be pretty much ready to go around July, and then the baby's going to be born, and yeah, I think we'll just park even thinking about it until next year. So somebody has said, how long has it taken you to get this far? So pleased for you both. So if you go back and have a look at all my videos, you could probably work out the timeline, but just to give you a vague idea, we got referred from the doctors for IVF, not IVF, but to the clinic in October 2022. Connor got seen in November 2022, and for his analysis, I got seen in January 2023 for all of my testing. Connor then got seen again in February 2023 because his first results were a bit borderline. And then from that point we were on the waiting list. We then started our first cycle in August 2023 and our second cycle started December 2023, and now we're here in April 2024. And also, thank you very much. Somebody's put, do you get more support until 12 weeks through IVF? So they give you an early pregnancy scan. You can obviously ring the clinic at any point that you want. We had a one at 6 weeks and then we had a one at 7 weeks too, and the consultant who actually did our embryo transfer did our scan at 7 weeks, and she was just so lovely, amazing. And she was happy for us to be discharged from the clinic at that point and for us to be handed over to our midwife and the consultant. So then I had my consultant's appointment, I had my midwife's appointment, and then, yeah, just normal pathway. Like, yeah, that's about it, which is when you're like told from the clinic, all right, okay, like we don't need to see you again. You're like, it's like the best feeling ever, but it's also like, oh my God, like almost like a little bit of a like, because they've been like a big support to you, but then also you're just so relieved that you can just join all the other women in that journey. You know, you're not over there in your segregated journey, you're just with the masses. Unbelievable how many questions I've got, that anything else that you did that may have contributed to your positive pregnancy. Like I say, I'm going to do a whole video on that. It's going to come next week. Somebody's asked, what is your specific advice to others going through the same process with Hashimoto's? My specific advice is to get a handle on your antibodies. Hashimoto's is an autoimmune condition that attacks your thyroid. So your thyroid function is impaired because of the autoimmune. You need to be looking at your whole thyroid function, not just your TSH. So go on MediChex or figure out another website and do a full thyroid panel, and then really work on getting those antibodies down. Now, I work with a naturopath and I have done for quite a while now, and she's absolutely fantastic, and she really helped on me understanding firstly what it meant and how that can implicate, and just figuring out the whole background thing that maybe sometimes GPs don't, because they look at your TSH, which is your thyroid stimulating hormone. If it's normal, great, but your antibodies could be so elevated, which means huge inflammation in your body, and you need to try and get that down. And maybe look at like inflammatory foods. There's loads of Instagram pages, like absolutely phenomenal Instagram pages with great information. Actually, a great starting point is googling Dr. Isabella Wentz. She is an expert in Hashimoto's and she's got loads of advice. For example, you might not be gluten free and you might think that you can tolerate gluten, but there's a compound in gluten that when you've got Hashimoto's your body can't recognize, and so it attacks it, and so that can be inflammatory. So it's like, it's a whole learning process, and I would really recommend kind of doing your research and figuring it out, because it can make all the difference. Somebody's asked, are you grade 4 endo? Is this the first time you've become pregnant? Yes and yes. Somebody's asked, have you had any cravings and have you stayed dairy free and gluten free? Oh my God, this is such a good question. Yes, I have had cravings. I've craved dairy. So I've craved fizzy juice, like fizzy pop, sparkling water, Coke, anything fizzy, and I've been like trying to avoid having too much and literally just having like the small cans like once every few days. And I've wanted dairy, I've craved butter, I've craved cheese, I've craved ice cream, I've craved chocolate, and I haven't given. I've stayed gluten free and dairy free, and because I know that it can just flare my body up and it's just not worth it for me. I need to stay well, I need to stay balanced, and now's not the time to be, I think, exploring with dairy. I had a small amount of sheep's cheese, manchego cheese. I asked my naturopath if it was okay, and she was like, yeah, you can try a little bit, and I was too frightened. I had the smallest amount, I was like, no, not worth it. So yeah, ironically the thing I want most is the thing I shouldn't have. Somebody has also asked, will I reintroduce dairy and gluten later on in pregnancy? I can't find any info about risks. I have an appointment tomorrow with my naturopath, so I will ask her about that. I probably wouldn't ever reintroduce gluten because I have a huge sensitivity to it, and as mentioned before, Hashimoto's and gluten just do not sit together well at all. But dairy, potentially. but that's something that'll have to be managed and controlled. I'm not just going to then go like and have like a massive inflammatory response. Somebody's asked, when am I due? I never used to think that sharing your due date was like a big deal, but I kind of understand why people don't. At the same time, I wouldn't keep it from you guys, so I'm not going to say the date exactly, but I'm due in October. Somebody's asked, do you think you put less pressure on yourself this time and it helped you conceive? Absolutely, 100%. I shared it in real time with you guys. I just was a little bit more nonchalant about it. Connor was more nonchalant about it. I was more relaxed. I didn't have as much stress. I wasn't putting as much pressure on myself. And do I think that could have contributed? Potentially. Someone has asked, do the midwives monitor you differently due to endometriosis? Nope. Not that I'm aware of. They certainly haven't at this point. I think I mentioned this on my story. Lots of people are asking how I'm feeling. I was feeling super anxious, super exhausted, and had really sore boobs before I tested and found out I was pregnant. And then the anxiety kind of subsided a little bit and the nausea come in, and I was nauseous all day every day until I would go to bed. It was awful, and I couldn't bear any food. I could just have like beige foods and stuff like that. And then I stopped feeling super nauseous all day around 9 weeks, and it just went more, I think it was more like 9 weeks, 10 weeks, and it was more like an afternoon thing where I would feel like, dreadful, and I'd be like lying on this bed all afternoon and night. And now I just feel so much better. I have done for probably a week or so. Yeah, I'm so grateful for that, because that nauseousness, I wouldn't wish it on anyone. It literally feels like you're just surviving. You sat there and you're like, it's like a feeling that you can't explain. And I was never sick. And I think I mentioned already on my Instagram that Connor booked us to go to the lakes for my birthday, and we delayed it once and we had to go the second time, and I cried in the car the whole way there. I was just so bloody nauseous. I was like, I kind of want to do supplements and everything in the next video, so I'm not going to answer those questions. Somebody's asked, have I started buying any baby clothes or furniture? I actually haven't yet, and that is something that we are wanting to start. We've just got loads on, so it's just like, I feel like there's just like 100 different plates spinning at the minute. But we've just ordered a brand new bed because this is a king size, and it's just not big enough. It's really not big enough. So we've got a super king frame, and we're waiting for the mattress. So we're gonna wait for that. Connor's sister's coming up for his birthday. Once she's been, I'm gonna empty the spare room, get rid of the mattress, get rid of all of the stuff in there, and I'm gonna really start mapping out the nursery and just get started. I can't wait to get started. I'm really, really excited, but I haven't got any idea. Like, my creative brain just, it's not really there at the moment, so I'm excited to start really thinking about that. Somebody's asked, how are the endo flares, symptoms, stage 4 gal here? No, they're non-existent. Like, you could still feel your ovaries after the IVF for like a long time, and mine are still a little bit like, because they were so overstimulated, because the drugs really kick in and keep going until, you know, like way post embryo transfer and everything like that. So yeah, but my understanding of pregnancy is it suppresses everything, and so you shouldn't have any endometriosis flares or anything like that, and I certainly haven't, so that's wonderful. And apparently my consultant who did my surgery said that if you breastfeed, it lengthens that even more. So I'll be breastfeeding until the baby's about 3 at this rate, because if it means no endo flares, no periods, then I'm absolutely here for it. Right, I've got to start wrapping up, but two more questions. Got our first IVF appointment today. Are the egg retrievals as painful as people say? I would say no, because you're sedated, and I was really scared about it, but you're sedated, you've got gas and air, and when you come round, I think, you know, it's not as bad as you think it's going to be. It's not nice, it's not great. You know, you do have some pain afterwards and stuff, but it's not unbearable. Somebody asked, did I stop drinking coffee and alcohol? I don't drink coffee and I don't drink alcohol. I have alcohol on the odd occasion if I'm on holiday, so that that wasn't an issue for me. And then I'm going to end on this one. How did you tell your families? I basically FaceTimed my mum. She did all my injections. Everyone was aware. You guys were aware. Everyone was in real time. So I FaceTimed my mum at like 7:30 in the morning. FaceTime my sister. FaceTime Connor's family. And then like just told my friends it was nothing fancy. It was nothing special. Everybody knew when I was going to be testing. Yeah. It takes that element of surprise away. Well, it doesn't, because they don't know whether it's going to be yes or no. It's not like out of the blue, because people are there supporting you throughout that journey. So everyone was over the moon. Before I go, I just need to show you this. This is my very active baby. So when it gets bigger, I'm going to be in for a right kicking on her. But yeah, that's the end of all of the questions. If I didn't answer your question, you can leave it down below, or hopefully if it is what I did differently, what supplements did I take, along those lines, then I will answer that next week in my next video. That is going to be what I did, what I changed, what I kept the same, you know, how I got pregnant on my second round. So everything will be included in that video. Again, I just want to say a massive thank you and really appreciate all the support. Don't forget to subscribe and like and comment. I will see you again next week, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye guys!